Sometimes I feel the fear of uncertainty stinging clear, and I can't help but ask myself how much I'll let the fear take the wheel and steer. That is Incubus Drive. Welcome to Industry Outlaws United, IOU for short. I'm your host, Brandon E. Brooks. The man in the box next to me is the man within the escape plan, Joe Ridgely. I'm back after a long hiatus of hijinks in California, Philadelphia, and a whole bunch of different
wait a
places.
minute. You can't get off that easy. Hey, you got some claiming to do. So
yeah, this was my subsoil brother Tim Milliken and I, for the first time we went to the American Film Market in Santa Monica, November 1st through the 6th. And it was quite the experience. So I have to probably have a whole show just to discuss that. It was a whirlwind of meeting a lot of different people. One of which is the gentleman that's joining us tonight, which was a pleasure. But yeah, it is Hollywood is different, and the movie business I've been in obviously for well over 2 decades, but it was definitely an interesting experience and one that I learned a lot. Like I always say, that learning is part of this whole game that we play, and it was a learning experience, and it's one that made us better as film professionals. So again, but that's for another thing. And even before that, we had the world premiere on October 22nd of the film Not for Nothing, which is a crime thriller that stars Mark Webber from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Lauren Rivera from Terrifier 2. We sold that out 2 screenings at the Philadelphia Film Festival. So we're really proud of that film. And we actually showed that off quite a bit at the film market and got a lot of good feedback for it. So here's to that one. Hopefully having some news.
Wait a minute. Deep breath, man. You guys were nominated for awards and stuff with that also, which is very freaking cool.
Yeah, we were nominated. We got the honorable mention for best local feature at the Philadelphia Film Festival, and the Reading Film Festival. We actually won 5 awards. We won Best Actor, Best Actress, and best 6 actually. And Best Feature, and we also got 3 Best Supporting Awards for Mark Webber, Carmen Yusko, and I'm brain farting. One other actor. My apologies, cool. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna have a Not for Nothing show coming up soon within the next few weeks, and like reveal some special scenes and trailers and stuff for the film that have never been shown before. So yeah, again, it's been a whirlwind of the last month or so of just a lot of cool things in my career that I'm proud of. So yeah, but how about you, Joe? I know you ducked the big storm there in Florida.
Man, it came right over us. It lasted a whole, I think, 3.5 minutes. So the power went out for 1.5 seconds, and then it flickered for another half a second, and that was it. We put our shutters up and everything. We shuttered our in-laws and my parents' house up, and we got some wind and some heavy rain. But not to take it lightly, though, a few miles to the east, our beaches are friggin' trashed right now, and apparently some bodies were uncovered. So weird stuff.
Thoughts and prayers go out to all those people there that are suffering, because that's that devastation. I'm thankfully I'm watching on the news, but a lot of people are suffering there. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them from the network. But without further ado, can we let's just get the show rolling, because we have our awesome guest here in the green room. Can we play our tribute video for the night, Mr. Ridgely?
Let's do it. awesome.
All right. Welcome to IOU, actor, filmmaker, and so much more. Tom Malloy.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Wow, that was a fun slideshow. I was like, what? That picture? That oh, then someone was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. But yeah.
I gotta ask one question. There was a Bugs Bunny T-shirt that was like an X-ray or skeleton. Where'd that come from?
So I don't know if I still have it, but the coolest thing is like every once in a while you get in these like gifting suites that are not as popular as they were in the past, but like you'd go just because you're an actor in films, they would give you stuff to wear on the red carpets. And that one was something I wish I could remember the name of it, but they had taken all kinds of cartoon characters and done like X-ray stuff. And it was as soon as I saw the Bugs Bunny one, I'm like, oh, that will be mine. And they gave it to me to wear on a red carpet. So yeah.
It's too cool.
Awesome. Yeah. How are you tonight, Tom? Yeah, I heard you're on the East Coast.
I am. I'm on the East Coast. I was in LA for maybe 3 weeks or so, and then I'm back here for a little bit. And I can't stay anywhere for more than 2 weeks, and I started freaking out, and I got to get back in a plane. I could be in a plane every day of my life. I love being.
Oh man. So I always start with everybody. Tell our audience like where you were born and raised.
Great. Yeah, no, I'm born and raised in Jersey. I was born in Red Bank, New Jersey, and then I grew up in like Central Jersey, Hunterdon County, and then I went to school Montclair University. And but yeah, it's a funny side story that somebody pointed out that was on like my high school Wikipedia page. But this was my co-star in all the musicals and plays in high school was Vera Farmiga, who's pretty big in her own right. Yeah. She was 2 years older than me. So, but I was getting the lead roles when I was like, young. And then, so we started all the movies together, but she's done very well for herself, but funny. And then like, they also pointed out like Mark Osborne and Kent Osborne, who did all the Kung Fu Panda movies, also went to high school with us.
Oh, wow. So is that up in that area? Is that's all kind of the Kevin Smith vicinity too? Isn't that?
Yeah, that's
John Bon Jovi. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's the Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith and I were born in the same hospital, Riverview Hospital. But no, I grew up in Hunterdon County. It was like Central Jersey, maybe about an hour from New York and an hour from Philly. So it was kind of right in the middle there.
Okay, so did your family always know at a young age that you had that extroverted, like actor, motivational speaker, that whole thing in you, or was it something that kind of grew as you got older?
No, 100%. I was always like, I think in fourth grade, was it fourth or third grade? No, it was fourth grade. I was the lead in Peter Pan, and Peter Pan was a girl, so I was Captain Hook. And so, I mean, from that point, there was only one path, was to be in movies. I didn't know that I'd be doing all this producing and writing and all the other stuff that I do, but it was a path from when I was very young. So yeah.
So as far as like I read, I mean, so many amazing stats about your career, but the motivational speaking, I wanted to speak about a little bit. You've spoken to over 100,000 students, it said. Now, what topics, like what type of things did you speak about? Was it motivation? Was it film? What were the different topics?
So this is going way back. I mean, like the last time I did a speech was at least 10 years ago. And I got in with the Speakers Bureau. I met the guy, and he had ran a Speakers Bureau, and I said I could do that. And also, growing up, every like speech we saw, like say it was an anti-drug speech, it was always some guy that had done a ton of drugs, and then was up there saying like, well, don't do what I did. And then it's like, I felt that was like a mixed message. Like you'd be looking at the guy and be like, he doesn't look that bad, like And so I did really like make positive choices because though I like to drink because I'm Irish. I never did any of the drugs and any of the crazy stuff. So it was kind of like a do what I did speech. And it was really, at the end of the day, it was a comedy show, but about making positive choices and being a powerful person. And it went great. And because it was a different angle of like a warning type of speech. It was more like, this is what you can do with your life type of speech. And it went over very well for a long time. So, yeah.
Awesome. And the books and stuff. I mean, that's how I came to know you a lot, like earlier in my career, like a lot of the financing books, the different things that you created. Did that all stem from like a kind of an exit into the business, or did that happen after you were already kind of had your foothold into the business as an actor?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. What happened was I did a film in 1997 called Gravesend, and we shot it on the streets of Brooklyn. We used to go up to a street corner. There'd be a gang of thugs, and we'd be like, "You guys want to shoot a fight scene?" They'd be like, "Yeah," and we'd like improvise a fight scene, and we improvised the whole movie. but I was like maybe the second biggest role in the movie. And when it was done, we got Oliver Stone to put his name on it. It was in theaters. And so that was great. It was called Gravesend. And what happened was that got me some great auditions, but I was losing out to already established celebrities. So I just tried to learn every other aspect of the business. I was like, I don't want to work in, I was always a computer whiz. I didn't want to work in computers. I didn't want to work at a restaurant or a bar. And so I really learned how to write, how to produce, and all this stuff. And I always tell the story that I remember going to my agent in like 2003 and saying, I want to be an actor, writer, producer. And she was like, you got to focus on one of those things. And I laugh that now, if that agent's still working somewhere, if you approach that person and said, I just want to do one thing, they'd be like, you got to be all kinds of things. Like it's completely switched. And so I trailblazed that. So the book Bankroll was really born out of the fact that I had to figure out how to raise money and put my own projects together. And that's what I did. And the first edition was in 2008. Second edition was in 2012. So, yeah.
Wow. So you were pretty humble with glossing over the Oliver Stone thing. How does one get one of the major names in the industry to put his name on a first project?
It's so funny because the director of that film was a guy named Sal Stabile, who's still a friend. Him and I are the only two in that movie that are still working in the industry. He wrote ended up going on to write the best episode of The Sopranos. He wrote Rescue Me, who's the showrunner. He was the showrunner of that Waco, Texas thing. But anyway, I recently, and I'd say within the past, I think it was pre-COVID, so it was 2019, ran into Sean Stone, Oliver Stone's son. And we were at a party, and I said, your dad and I, we met years ago. I go, he was put his name on this movie, Gravesend. And he goes, yeah, that's because of me, dude. And I go, what are you talking about? Because Sean and I are roughly the same age. And he had watched it as a kid, 19 or so, and said, Dad, you got to put your name on this movie. So I really have Sean Stone to thank for doing that. And I thought, wow, all these years later, you're telling me the story. That's just great. Yeah.
Wow. So what were some of your influences, actor and filmmaker wise, growing up that you loved?
I definitely have clear ones. If I was able to flip this webcam around, I got a big Brando picture up there. I was a huge Marlon Brando fan, and I think any actor really is that is a fan of the classic films. And On the Waterfront, his last name is Malloy, spelled the same way as mine. And On the Waterfront, Terry Malloy. And I just, I always respected the old films. Then another one, and I never met Marlon, but another one of my idols is that guy. Is a teeny little picture right there. You can see Robert Evans, who is to me the best producer of all time. And he's so cool to meet. Producer of The Godfather and Love Story and Paramount Studios from 9th out of 9th to 1st out of 9th. And then the third is that guy, John Cassavetes. Whoops, right there. Who's the first guy. He was a great actor, but he was the first guy to kind of say, why don't we just put bigger lights in this room and shoot it right here in this office? And so that was a huge, those three. So he kind of created independent film in the U.S. So you got John Cassavetes, pioneer of independent film, Marlon Brando, the pioneer of acting and realistic acting, and Robert Evans, the greatest producer of all time. Those three make up me.
That is a great list right there. So after Gravesend, so we're going to move forward a little bit to a project you wrote, produced, you act in, Alphabet Killer, which is one of the first things. Actually, I think it was the first film I saw that you were in, which is a fantastic film. And if you haven't seen it, audience, definitely go watch it. Great cast. But how does this story? Where does this story come out of you from?
Well, so interestingly enough, I had done the first kind of professional film where I raised money for was a movie called The Attic. And I wrote it, and I played like a supporting role. I was smart enough to say, let me get stars around me. And I got the director of Pet Sematary, and it starred Elizabeth Moss, and Alexandra D'addario was her first movie ever, and John Savage. And so what I did is that movie wasn't exactly what I had wanted it to be, because I didn't have any power. I was a nobody then.
Gotcha.
And my vision and the director's vision were completely far off. But my performance was great. I gained like 30 pounds. I played an autistic guy, and I got good reviews in that. So what happened was I parlayed that into what happened. My mother-in-law at the time, I was married at the time, said, because I said I was looking for another horror thriller. And she said, do you know about this true crime that happened in Rochester, New York, where my ex was from? And I didn't know anything about it. So I started researching it, and I met some of the people in the original case and just wrote this kind of a cool thing. Now, not to go into a long story, but Rob Schmidt, who directed Wrong Turn, which I love that movie. I had approached him to direct The Attic, and it didn't work out. So when I approached him with this, it was like a missed opportunity. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'd like to do something like this." So then he jumped on, and of course we got Tim Hutton, Carrie Elways, Eliza Dushku. I played one of the main detectives. We got Michael Ironside. We got Tom Noonan, Melissa Leo, Martin Donovan. We had this huge cast, and so ultimately, I was really proud of that film. So,
it's a fantastic film, and Rob Schmidt was actually one of my first interviews on here. Him and I have been cool for many years, and never met in person, but again, we've talked on the phone. We've talked. We had a great interview early on, and fantastic director. I can't wait to see what he does next. But again, this was a good effort for him. We talked about on the show, and when you're on a set as an actor, this is a question I try to ask as many seasoned actors as possible. Do you have any anxieties? I mean, you've been doing it for a while, obviously, and you've obviously been on stage to live crowds. Do you have any of that pit of your stomach anxiety that some people get before they perform?
I'll be honest and say no, that I don't. The only time I'll get anxiety is every once in a while I do improv comedy shows where me and this guy, Tommy Bechtold, so we do the TNT show, Tommy and Tom, and we go out and we're doing one in the holidays, and it was like we go out with nothing and we do 20 minutes of comedy. Like that's scary because we're improvising the whole thing. But as far as and I guess it's funny because of what the key is, there's no prep there. Flip to acting, and now I've been doing it for a long time. And early on, like my first lines in a real film was The Siege with Denzel Washington. I had like 5 lines of Denzel Washington. I was nervous, but I remember an uncle that was a great golfer, and he had said that he had tried out for the U.S. Open, and then he blew it. And he realized the difference between a professional and an amateur was that they can bring it when the heat is on. And so I always felt that I could. And so that was always in my mind. And now, all this experience later in 30-something films, I know I can bring it because the things that I can control, the preparation, the reading of the script, the knowing, people forget their lines. I'll tell them what their lines are because I'm so prepared. So the only thing I can control is like, I can't control how big my fame is or something like that, but I can bring my A game every time I'm on set. And I always do. Every single time. When I did the movie Trauma Therapy, the crew was calling me One Take Tom, which I was like, I love that because I want the director to know he's got an ace in me, and every scene I'm going to bring the top level to every goddamn take that I do. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, it is about preparation, and a lot of the actors have said like with good preparation, you negate that need to worry about anything because even if it is going up against actors of higher status, again, you're if you have that confidence and you're ready to step up. That's why the greats of the game, from Brady to Jordan to whoever, are always don't crack as much under pressure because.
Well, it's funny you should say that. It's like if I was going against Brady or Jordan or Wayne Gretzky or something, I know I would be a nervous wreck because I knew I was nothing. But as an actor, there's nobody that you could put me. Tom Cruise, you put anybody across from me, it becomes more of like I get a challenge in me. Like I'm a prove on screen, I'm better than you. You know, I did the day one of The Attic. Elizabeth Moss is a great actress. Some people think she's one of the best actresses working. Day one, she comes up to me and she's like, "You're good." You know what I mean? I was like, "Hell yeah, I am." Like and it's not an arrogance; it's a confidence. Like I can bring my A game. Like if I knew I could play like Jordan, I'd be confident. So let's go. Let's play basketball. You know what I mean? It's like to me, I know what I can bring acting wise. So. Anytime there's somebody across from me, like I used to be a family friends with Jack Black, it was more like, I'm like, I'll beat you anytime. I put the cameras, let's go, let's do this. Like, so it's more challenging. Yeah. So for me, it's really fun to work with older character actors that have been around for years. I watched grow up. Like I just did a movie with Joyce DeWitt from Three's Company. Those people are fun because I'm not challenging them. I'm just like putting them on a pedestal. So
that's amazing. So you also I read up a lot, which I knew a little bit about this from previous reading about you, but you're also a trained dancer and singer. So the dancing part of it, I want to talk about a little bit. There's a lot of accolades in that, which you. So is this how Love and Dancing came to be?
100%.
So tell us a little bit about the dancing background that led into this movie.
Well, my sister Raina was a dancer and growing up, but she had gotten a job at a ballroom dance place, and so I'd always liked like the big band kind of swing music.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, let me go try a lesson. And I was horrible. This is like maybe 1999. And I was so bad. But I thought if I can really just jump into this, I can kind of get muscle memory and do it. And so I did. And I started getting better. And then I went and I saw a competition that had this dance called West Coast Swing. And West Coast Swing wasn't like a big band swing. It was smooth and slinky and danced to contemporary music like hip hop and R&B and blues and pop. And I went, that's the dance I want to do. So I sought out the best in the world, which is a guy named Robert Royston. And he was the 8-time U.S. Open swing champion. At the time he wasn't, but I mean, time he only had a couple titles. And I just started training with him. And I got better and better. And so I wrote the movie Love and Dancing because I wanted to show West Coast Swing to the world. And there it is. Amy Smart, myself, Billy Zane, Betty White. I got to dance with Betty White in that movie, which was awesome. And so there's Billy and Amy. And so that was super fun, man. It's like, but the key there is that was directed by a guy named Rob Escove, great director. He saw that, and he's been around for years. But that wasn't exactly my vision. I was only the writer and an actor and a producer. And so the dance movie that I just made, Asked Me to Dance, I thought, let me try. That was my 17th movie produced. I've now done 20 films produced. And at the time I thought I'm going to try to direct. And so far, knock on wood, it's turned out pretty damn good. So
now, how was that? Now dancing, like there's repetition obviously in film, like so many different takes. How was that from the dancing standpoint? Did you have to? Was that challenging and taxing just to have to do sometimes multiple takes for just those sequences on top of keeping your game face on as an actor?
100%. That's one of those situations where, as an actor, I'm like, I'm A level, I'm Jordan, like as a dancer, I'm like the kid that's pretty good on the high school team, you know what I mean? Playing against Jordan, you know? And so I'm with all these dance champions. So just trying to hold my own. And that was a little bit tougher. And then I remember one scene in Love and now, years later, I just take it a lot easier. And I think Ask Me to Dance was also easier because Brianna Evigan was a great, great dancer. But I'd say the key, there was one scene in Love and Dancing where I had to teach a dance class and then I had to shut off the music, show a move, and then turn the music back on. I had to keep the beat in my head as I was doing the lines and back and forth. That was possibly the hardest scene I've ever done because because you can't cut the music because you don't know if you're going to get that music in the movie and you're going to have to put a click track. So I had to mime shutting off the music, do the lines with Malik Penchali in the scene, back and forth, and still be like 5, 6, 7, 8, pretend to start a dance. And that was very, very tough. So,
I couldn't imagine that. So tell us about the origins of Trick Handle Productions.
That's my production company. I started in like 2005. And what's cool is that, people say, Trick Candle Productions, they don't know what that means. But then I go, those birthday candles, you put them on and you try to blow out the flame and the flame comes back and you try to blow out the flame and the flame comes back. And that's the analogy. And once I say that, people it takes them a second. They go, oh, I get it now. Like you can't put out the flame. And I'm like, that's right, baby. So I think that's a really, it's a cool name. Once I explain it, everybody gets it. But I've done a lot under that banner and for years, and it's been my company. So at trickhandle.com you can see the reel of films that I have on there, and it's been going pretty well for a long time.
Awesome. So sometimes information is inflated or deflated on things. So is it true that you have raised over $25 million for independent film?
It is, and I really do have to go back and update that number. It's probably closer to 30 right now. And so, over the years and private equity put it all together for the films. And that's what I've raised. Yeah.
Now what, again, I've read the book. So, I mean, again, I've studied the strategies because, again, I'm a student of this game just because you have to constantly evolve and learn, even till the day I read things. And again, deciphering what the truth is from falseness, that's a whole nother angle of it. But as far as funding and raising equity, give us just a couple key things how you approach it. Not trying to take any secrets of your trade or whatever, but again, it's such a myth as to private equity or crowd. There's so many different angles people go about, but you talk about a lot in your books. But just give a couple of things that kind of have made it successful for you.
Well, sure. I mean, and by the way, I'm an open book on this. You know that I have filmmakingstuff.com, which is a free blog, and we have the filmmaking stuff YouTube channel, and I give away all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
videos on raising money and stuff. The key, I would say, is at the end of the day, when you're pitching someone, I'd say if you're pitching to get private equity, stay out of the film industry. Find the person who's made $300 million on water bottles, right? And water bottles are not an exciting industry, but everybody wants to be part of the movie business. They want to have celebrity friends and things like that. And if you can position yourself as the conduit that's going to get them those celebrity friends, which I have done for executive producers, really financiers, that's an exciting prospect. So then add on top of that, it's a viable project. There's a potential way to make money, all that stuff. It becomes irresistible because it's a really sexy thing, movies, and you add all that together. But again, if I can give one tip, it'd be don't approach somebody because, I got a cousin that's a second AD on a TV show. Like, that person's trying to keep their job. Yeah. And they're not going to be able to help you raise the money for your film. You need to go to somebody that's in a different business and has been successful and wants to maybe get into movies.
Well, good, great advice, audience. Listen to this guy. He knows. Also, as a writer, as a screenwriter, that's very successful too. Like, how did you approach that in the beginning? Because I always tell people that myself, I'm a professional screenwriter now, but it took me. I think it took me about 7-8 years before I actually said that. Because again, a lot of bad scripts, a lot of just coverage, a lot of just again throwing things out. And now people will write one script and say, "I'm a writer." But for me, I have to I have to own it before I get to a point where I say I'm an actor or I'm a filmmaker or whatever. So how long was that process for you? Because I know you've sold over 24 plus screenplays. So
and I've been in the Writers Guild almost 20 years now. I would say the first thing that I did that set me apart was that I read probably 40 of the greatest screenplays of all time. I read Casablanca, and I read Dr. Strangelove, and I read all kinds of even contemporary scripts like the newer Ocean's 11 and things like that, later on. And the key is I'll still read it. Like, meaning if I was commissioned to write an action film, or if I wanted to write an action film, I'd go find the Avengers script and or some kind of action film that I love and read it and go, okay, that's how it's done. Like, I always say that just watching a movie and going, I can write one is the same as watching Open Heart Surgery and being like, I can do that, or getting a massage and be like, I can open a massage studio. Like, what the hell? Like, that's not the same. So you have to experience it. So there's the Internet Movie Script Database, which I tell people IMDb. It's like IMSDB. And go download screenplays and read them and go, all right, this is how a drama is done. This is how this is done. So find ones in your genre that were successful. And it's not like you're copying them, but you're modeling the structure after that. And on top of that, I read books on screenplays and I took a screenwriting course and did all this stuff that I needed to do. Like, to me, it's always trying to learn. But just like you said earlier on, you never stop learning. If I was to write something right now that I hadn't written before, the first thing I would do is go to successful screenplays and read them.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so we're at the point already. I do this every week. I don't know if you've seen previous shows. It's called One Sentence or Silence. And what it is I throw a name at you that you've worked with, and you tell me a little bit about them, whether you like them or hate them. And if you stay silent, it means they suck. That's the caveat right there.
That's great. This is fun.
All right, so the first name I'm going to throw at you is the great Harvey Keitel.
Oh, and on Lansky, yeah. Well, now look, I've heard great things about him. I didn't get to meet him. I came in late on Lansky, and I was really just on the financing side. So yeah, I was one of the EPs of that film. So yeah, no, I didn't have any interaction, but I've heard he's a great dude. So
okay, all right, another classic actor, Edward Asner.
Awesome guy. Rest in peace. He was just a fun guy. I remember the first time I met him before I ended up playing in his celebrity poker tournament, because I played all those tournaments every year. I met him at a diner or something like that in Studio City, and I knew we had the same publicist. And I said, "Hey, Ed, you and I have the same publicist, Charles Sherman." And he goes, "Fuck him." And he was it, but he was kidding. But it was so funny, and I thought, this guy's funny. Yeah, so he's a great, awesome guy. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Another actress I've always liked from early in her career, Catherine Mary Stewart.
There's no way I can remain silent on her. She's so awesome. How could I not like a person I've done 5 movies with now? So when someone is like that, she was at star of Weekend at Bernie's and Last Starfighter and all that. If somebody's like that, so charming and such a good actress, and I'll work with them anytime. So anytime there's that role, I call her, hey, you want to do this? And the last one being Ask Me to Dance. And not only that, she was more than even Brianna Evigan, the star of the movie. Kathy learned the dance because she had to dance with me in one scene, like lightning. I was like, Kath, you're incredible. Oh, wow. So she was amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Awesome. The Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle.
Kurt, yeah, this is great. I just kind of realized, I'm like, geez, I haven't really worked with many jerks. Like, Kurt was awesome. He was in Ask Me to Dance. We hit it off right away, and I thought he was so funny in the scene that we did. Great guy, and just we didn't even spend that. It was 1 day shoot, so we corresponded since then, and on Instagram, and emailed each other, texted each other. He's a great guy. I'd love to hang out with him, put him in another movie. So,
awesome. Yeah, Kurt is a great guy. I've met him a couple of times and had some good conversations. All right, another one of the Dukes of Hazzard, Tom Wopat. All right.
Never meet your heroes.
All right. A legend, Mary Lambert.
Yeah, Mary is great. I mean, God, it's been a long time, and I'm trying to calculate the years, but she was the first big director that I worked with. She was director of Pet Sematary. But honest to God, I mean, sweetheart, don't get me wrong, she was great. It's been since 2006, which used to not be a long time ago, but now is a long time ago, or 2007. I think we corresponded on email a couple of times, but she's awesome. She's great. Yeah.
All right. One of my all-time favorite character actors, Michael Ironside.
Awesome. Great guy. Gave me some tips because I was, not tips on acting, but tips on kind of like set, etiquette and things, like just because he was such a veteran, you know what I mean? Like little things like he, how can I say it? Not even set etiquette. It was more like acting, like he does a lot of like breathing in. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. That's like a nice little trick that you can do before a line. But my favorite thing I'd say about Michael Ironside was he was, I didn't realize how big his Canadian accent was. And he, you hear him in Total Recall and Top Gun, and he's got this kind of like gravelly voice. And then you meet him in person. He's like, oh, hey, how are you? And I'm like, no shit. That's the way you talk. Like, so he's super Canadian, but great actor, great guy. So, yeah.
An always interesting character on screen, Billy Zane.
Good guy. Hey, Billy and I hit it off from day one on Love and Dancing. The coolest thing about Billy, the first night he was on set, he was waiting in this room, and I wasn't even in that scene. Like, I didn't have any scenes to shoot that day. So I came to set and was hanging out with him, and we were watching some Kevin Costner Western that was not the good Wyatt Earp or Dance with Wolves. It was another one. And him and I just started sitting there on the couch and started kind of doing a Mystery Science Theater 3000 and making our lines. And we were crying, making each other laugh. And I hit it off with him very well. And then we used to go to like clubs in LA, and he's exactly that level that could just walk into any club. So it was awesome hanging with him. And then, he had a kid. That was the end of that. So they took him out of the game. So, yeah.
Michael Madsen.
Madsen's awesome, man. I like Michael Madsen a lot, and I loved hanging out with him. I maybe my vocal inflection went down because I know that his son committed suicide recently, so I don't know the shape that he's in. I haven't talked to him since then, but he was supposed to be working on another project with me, and then it fell through. But the movie that I did with him, Ashley, was great, and then we got to hang out for a couple weeks afterwards, and he just great guy, great wife. I love Michael. Yeah, great dude.
And finally, another legend that we lost, the great Betty White.
She was just a bitch, just a horrible person. I'm kidding. She's the greatest. I mean, like, you wanted her, everybody wanted her to be their grandma. She was just awesome and so fun and so sweet and making jokes. I just loved dancing with her. That was, for me, my highlight of my career. It might be all-time highlight. We'll see. But, you know, for me, like growing up being such a fan of old TV and comedy, you ain't going to get better than that. She was awesome. Awesome.
Great to hear. And I have a bonus that I was texting Ray Wise.
Yeah, Ray played my dad in a movie called Shattered, which actually the poster's right there.
Okay.
Molly Burnett, Ari Zucker. He was another great dude. You know, like it's funny enough, the people that have bottom line is Ray Wise, awesome guy. But the people that work in 200 plus movies where you see them, there's no way they can be assholes because people wouldn't put up with it. You know, Michael Caine says it the best, who's another one of my kind of idols. I would love to work with him one day. Given the same amount of talent and ability and power, a producer's always going to choose the person that it's easier to work with. And, you know, it's like any of those guys, Ray Wise has been in 200 movies. There's no way he would be the jerk and be in 200 movies. The ones that, and maybe the one I stayed silent on, it's telling that they don't work that much because, you know, it may be that they're a little difficult. So,
yeah, definitely. That's why the IMDb is long and strong. And I'm going to throw one too, because you work with her in you said her first film. Now, Alexandra D'addario. Now, did you see that like from that stage as her first thing as to what her trajectory would end up being, or was she still raw at the moment? Like she was great in The Attic, but was there buzz that she could kind of turn into the star that she became?
100%. She was only 16 and she auditioned, and we didn't have Elizabeth yet, and she auditioned and they told me, oh my God, you need to see this girl. Like I wasn't there that day that she auditioned. And then they had me do a scene with her. And I, of course, again, the challenge, you know what I mean? And I was like, afterwards, the producers hadn't seen the character that I was going to bring to the table. And afterwards, they were like, oh man, like you were awesome. Like they were focused on me, but she had something even in person, but more so, which is almost obviously more important on screen. There was a magnetism but meaning again, sweetheart. She's only 16 years old. I remember seeing her years later at a party, and we ended up talking for a while. And but there was definitely something about her that everybody went, oh yeah, she's going to be a star. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we got through with that one silence, which will again remain silent.
Let me expand for a second. I know he's been somewhat canceled, and I saw your co-host jump on for a second. I think that, you know, when I'm a producer, sometimes what happened was he put me in the box that I was a producer, even though I was an actor, and I'm also, you know, so I'm always on the side of the actor. That because I was a producer, I was going to screw him. So meaning if you come to a set that way and think, oh, this is the guy, like meaning imagine somebody treating you like that from day one, like, oh, this is the guy that's going to not pay me, you know, like that kind of
the suit. Yeah,
and it was like that from day one. So it's like, had to get in his face at one point. It's like from Jersey, you know, jiu-jitsu 20 years. It's like, nobody's going to be a dick to me. And so I kind of got in his face at one point. And he backed down. He shook my hand afterwards. But it's like, you know, he put me in that box of I was going to be that guy. And I wasn't having it ultimately. So I never was that guy to him. I was trying to look out for him. So
Gotcha. And that reminds me, if you're familiar with the show Entourage, Billy Walsh was that way with E. He was the suit. He called him the suit because he didn't have 100%. Respect for him. He didn't have respect for him because he just saw him as an executive and somebody who was going to screw up his vision. And again, there is that sometimes I see in my years too, that there's a respect for creatives and they don't realize those producers are creatives in their own right, even more so a lot of ways because they're putting it all together. So
exactly. I mean, look, there's definitely producers that, you know, are business execs in suits that know shit about the movies, and I get it. But there's also the ones that are filmmakers that are always going to fight for the actor and do that. And again, he'd put me in the box that I was the other one. Which is
gotcha. So tell us. So we talked a little bit about Trick Candle. Tell us how Glass House distribution came to be years later.
Sure. I started about like 6 years ago now, and at the American Film Market you mentioned, I have been there 17 years in a row. Like starting in 2005, I walked in and I'm like, I'm never missing this. And you know, of course, the past 2 years were virtual, but I was there, but you know, not there. And I just saw an opening for, again, repping filmmakers and being honest with them, right? So the guy I co-founded the company with was a guy named Brian Glass. So that's where Glass House came from. But what happened is it became this double entendre. You could see everything, going on, and it's fully transparent. And so that's what that was our motto from the start. And now we've built it up. There's like 7 people in the company now. I literally started in my living room at a different house I was living at the time. And, so we have 130 plus films in the catalog. Again, there's always crazy filmmakers that think their movie's going to make $1 million. And but look, I can always go to bed at night knowing that we try hard to sell every single film that we have. Some of them go through the roof. Some of them buyers don't want. And, the filmmakers don't understand that. But bottom line is, I'm proud of Glass House and what it's become. And we have it, so thank God, a great reputation.
And David Lawrence is one of your partners in it too. I didn't notice looking through your dossier of you guys also have written some things together that you've been in as well. So can you speak a little bit about some of those projects? Because again, I saw that you both have written some projects, and I didn't realize David was a talent on screen as well.
So. Yeah, David's one of my closest friends, if not my best friend. I'm his best man in his wedding. We wrote a film called Trauma Therapy together. It was literally one night of partying at a poker tournament, and it was funny because there's another actor I won't name, who's a good friend, but we all 3 of us say, oh, tomorrow let's meet and we'll write a movie together. And he didn't meet, he bailed. And it was like, so David and I sat and came up with this idea for Trauma Therapy, which we ended up co-writing and shooting. And he wrote the majority of the first one and I rewrote it. Then the joke was, last year I was stuck at a film festival in Lake Placid, New York, and there was no signal and stuff. So I busted out the second Trauma Therapy Psychosis, which is the sequel. And then he just did some rewriting on that. So I did like 90% of that. So we flipped it. And so, yeah, I mean, he's an actor as well. I put him in Ask Me to Dance. I put him in Hero of the Underworld. I put him in Trauma Therapy 1 and 2. And yeah, so we work very well together. But at the same time, he's the head of acquisitions for the company. So he's the one that has to see all the films and decide, which ones are good and try to make deals with them. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So this is a weekly question as well. If you were not in the film biz, Tom, what would you be doing?
That's so tough. I mean, I'm a computer expert my whole life. I mean, I am a freak. Like, I'm designed all those websites. Like, if you go to tommalloy.com, trickcandle.com, glasshousedistribution.com, I designed all those websites. So it's like I can do that stuff. I'm not necessarily sure I love the computers. It might be something to do with, viruses or forensic psychology. I like information and analyzing information. And so it might be something like that. But ultimately, there was never even a thought that I was going to do anything else than be in movies since I was a little kid. So, yeah.
Good answer. This is a twofold question. If you had a blank check, which at some point in your career, it's a possibility, you've raised a lot of private equity, but if you had a blank check, the first question is, as an actor, what role would you play in a film? Any film, if you could go take on any franchise that's out there or be an actor in something that there was a blank check for, what would that role be?
I've always thought that I would make a great Hal Jordan if they did Green Lantern right. They didn't do it like the entire character is based on that he has no fear, and then they make a movie with Ryan Reynolds, and he is Ryan Reynolds in that movie, making his little quips and stuff, which doesn't fit the character of Hal, and he's scared the whole movie. And it's like, well, wait a minute, the entire character is based on he saw his dad die when he was young, and it broke something in him, and he has no fear. That's why he's the perfect Green Lantern. Anyway, so I think Green Lantern should be made right with the right person. So I think that could be me, and so I've always wanted to play Hal. That's been one of my dream roles. So.
Awesome. And now what about the flip side of it as a filmmaker, creative, if blank check, what would be that project that you would create?
Well, besides the ones that I have there's some projects that I'm trying to make big studio projects. So if it was something like that, it would be something Marvel, like where I could make a big movie that can have an impact and just try my vision out. It's like you see guys. One of my guys that I've been tracking lately is Taika Waititi, and he's done so well as being an actor, but then also bringing his projects to life and directing Thor and stuff like that. But the key is you could see his imprint on those movies. You could see the comedy that he brings to it, and it's like, I think I could bring some of that, the comedy, but also the action and stuff like that to those films. So it would be like a big DC or Marvel film. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this, and it's like these are great questions, by the way. But the key is that, you know, growing up and having the Star Wars and having the Return of the Jedi moments when I was young and all that, you know, and I've heard people like Martin Scorsese crapping on Marvel films. The Avengers Endgame, the moments in those movies are rival anything in the history of cinema, especially with all of those movies and watching them all and them coming together. That movie had emotional moments. Cap picks up the hammer. Cap, you know, the people show up behind him at the fight. That shit, I'll put that stuff up a bit. I'm sorry, and I'm a movie historian. At the greatest movies of all time, that emotional peak can rival anything, and that's better than Rocky. And I'll dare say that those moments are better than even the moments in Star Wars.
But I do agree with you, because I listened to those Robert Downey Jr. comments in the Scorsese and about kind of discount like his take on it, and then obviously his thing with Scorsese. But for me, you're right. When you do at the core of that with Stark and all that stuff, there like you said, there's amazing moments.
Yeah.
Even that end scene in that movie with the funeral, like that's there's
3 times in Avengers Endgame. You know what I mean? Like when what's his name, Paul Rudd, as Ant-Man reunites with his daughter as a dad. I was I was tearing up, and then of course the Iron Man ending. It was like, that's. Yes,
that's why I've always been a champion at least of films that don't have as big of a voice. So like spreading them around, like and a lot of times it's in the horror space, and that's why even movies like Alphabet Killer and Attic things, I've told people, I remember watching it and said, hey, check this movie out, because again, those are things that again they're discounted for the performances, and there's great performances in these movies by great talent, and a lot of times they get overlooked because it's Hereditary, but again, that the performances in that movie are Oscar worthy. And the same
love stuff like that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please, yeah.
No, it's like, I see a Terrifier poster, and that's obviously clearly over the top. And I know some of the people that distributed the first one, and then Steve Barton, I know, who's one of the producers in the second one.
He's a great friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, good dude. And it's like, so, you know, I just love when small movies like that hit. And the one thing I'll say, like, so my movie Ask Me to Dance had incredible reviews. It was 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then one asshole reviewer like gave it a mean negative review. And I think about that person, whoever this chick is, and it's like, you know, I could never do that to an indie film, never, because if it's an indie film and I didn't like it, I might just not say anything. But if it's Morbius or Venom, and it's like, you know, they've spent $100 million on Venom, and it's a worst piece of trash with that makes no actual sense. It's like, that I would crap on. But the joke is, I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't post anything like that. You know, but at the heart of every independent film, Terrifier, Behind You, and some of those other films, it's like is passion, and somebody that was really excited to put it up on the screen and go, I want to put my vision. So for any critic, you know, to the woman, I would love if she hears this, the woman that did the Ask Me to Dance and put the negative review and all that stuff. It's like, you know what? Good luck with your life. If you need to do that, I'm sorry nobody asked you to the prom or whatever, that you need to do that and crap on indie films because you've never made a film. And if you ever did, you would know it's your baby and you put all your passion, your heart into it. It's not a studio giving you $50 million. You're fighting for every dollar, you know, and fighting to get one more extra in the bar scene. You know what I mean? And it's like, the fact that you could crap on that is bad karma, man.
I agree. I always say too that don't shit where you eat, and it's one of them things too. Even though yes, it's free speech or whatever, but again, I say if you work for Olive Garden, don't crap on Red Lobster. But in the film business, the same thing. Like we know how difficult it is to make anything. Doesn't matter if you have $10,000 or 10 million or 100 million. Yeah. So for me, like there's things I watch and again, I'm like, wow, that's not great. And I've made some things early in my career that fall in that category. But for me, it's again, I'm not going to go out there and even if it's Ridley Scott, whoever it is, I see people all the time with M. Night movies and a lot of movies that they should never be able to direct again, or this producer or this actor, and I'm like, you're not in their shoes, and it's usually a critic that's not doing the things that they're criticizing. They're not, that reviewer for Ask Me to Dance is probably not a filmmaker that's ever made anything. So, but again, it's easy to put down something, but again, put yourself in the shoes of actually being a creative, and then you'll realize that the passion behind anything is immense. So
100%. You know, it's funny that John Cassavetes, that's a picture of him holding a 16 millimeter film camera and shooting a film. And there's a quote underneath it. And if it, like, you could see it there, but it's a quote that I start when I do a live performance about film financing or a webinar. And his quote is actually, I like to act in films. I like to shoot them. I like to direct them. I like to be around them. I like to feel for it. And it's something I respect. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a crappy film or a good film. Anybody who can make a film, I already love. And so I always share that with the audience when I start a live speech, because I'm the same way. Anybody that can make a film, I love you, because we're brothers and sisters in this crazy business.
Amazing. That's great there. Now, a little bit more about Ask Me to Dance. So tell us how, like, from a directing standpoint, because again, you've spent a lot of your career like with so many other hats. So did you enjoy that process, or was it something that was a little off-putting, like kind of doing it plus dancing and doing like still doing all the things you did Love and Dancing, but also being...
Yeah, I mean, like, the script was the script, and I'd written it, and it was really funny. It was getting, everybody was loving it, and producing I could do and hire producing partners. That was easy enough. But interestingly enough, I really wanted to direct a film, and I wanted to put my comedy out there. The key was I'd never branded myself as a producer, writer, and actor. I'd done thrillers, horrors, dramas, everything. And I grew up as a comedian, like grew up doing improv comedy. So I thought, as a director, I'm going to brand myself. And that's still my goal. I did Ask Me to Dance, and it's like, I'm not directing anything. You could approach me, hey, here's a couple million. Would you direct a horror movie? I'd say, nope, I'm only directing comedy. I'll find you a director, but, you know, I'm only directing comedy. So on Ask Me to Dance, my initial thought was, I want to direct it. We had Mario Cantone from Sex and the City, and then we had Brianna Evigan. Those are the first two people we got. And we were going to see if we can cast somebody like a Zac Efron-ish type to play my character, the character that I ultimately played. But we didn't have the money. Didn't have you had to satisfy 4 criteria. You had to go be funny. There's a lot of funny actors. You had to be able to dance. That just went, you narrowed the field down to the third. You had to have like a little bit of fame, like you've done experience in movies and stuff like that. It'd be great if they were famous. And then fourth, you had to be able to do it for $100 a day, because we had no budget left. And it's like, there was the only person on the entire planet that had all 4 of those check marks was me. And so I'll have to shout out to David Lawrence, because he did second unit for me. Not really second unit, because it was like second unit usually implies that it's another place. He was kind of my assistant director, it'd be a better way to say it. And when I was on camera, he would watch, and then the first thing I'd come up to is come up to him and say, what did you think? And we kind of spitball it back and forth. And so without him as my eyes and ears, I think I'd be in some trouble.
It's good to have someone you trust on set, no doubt. No doubt. So what's obviously Ask Me to Dance is out there for everybody to watch. What's up next for you, filmmaking or like appearances? What's obviously it's the holiday time, but any new projects on the horizon?
So I did a film I produced. So there was 3 films I did this year, producer wise. A movie called Trauma Therapy Psychosis, which was the sequel to Trauma Therapy. We're still finishing that. There's a film called Rearview Mirrors that had Erica Christensen, Penelope Ann Miller, David James Elliott, Zach Gilford, that was shot in Austin, and that's still being edited. And then this other movie called The Bigfoot Trap that was like a little Bigfoot movie that we did in Nashville. And that was fun, and that's ready to go. So those 3, finishing those, selling those, and then I have a big project, hopefully with, hopefully it gets going with an Oscar-nominated producer that's done major movies. He loved the script. He thinks it's a hit. So if we can get that going, that would be a big project. So there's that. And then there's, other stuff. I mean, Glass House takes up so much of my time. But the answer really is I don't know. I have a comedy that I'm attached to as director that I'm trying to get going. It's a really laugh out loud Jim Carrey type comedy. Not an actor in it. I'm trying to get, that lead actor in there. And so if I can get that going, that'd be great. But I really haven't decided to go, what's my focus going to be? I'm hoping to decide that in the next week or 2.
Cool. You got to get back to Jersey and film some stuff.
Be fun. That would be fun. I still have a lot of friends there. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. So one of the final questions for me before Mr. Ridgey pops back up. I always ask every guest for some words of wisdom. We have a lot of filmmakers, aspiring actors, and different film professionals that watch the show. So can you just give our audience some words of wisdom about this crazy business we're in?
Well, in anything in life, there was a great motivational speaker that I knew that was on that same Speakers Bureau, a guy named Rob Gilbert, Dr. Rob Gilbert. And he used to say, why aren't there successful people everywhere? And his answer was, well, because people have big butts. Now, he doesn't mean their rear end. He means the word butt. I want to be a doctor, but it's a lot of hard work, means you'll never be a doctor. I want to be an actor, but I'm shy, means you'll never be an actor. And he said that you don't have to remove this. You don't have to fix the problem. All you have to do is change one word. You change but to and. I want to be a doctor, but it's a lot of hard work, becomes I want to be a doctor and it's a lot of hard work, and you can do it. I want to be an actor, but I'm shy, becomes I want to be an actor and I'm shy, and you can do it. I worked with Robert De Niro as an extra when I was young and analyze this or analyze that. And it was like, this guy's the shyest guy ever. He was nice, but he was very shy. And it's like, he didn't let it stop him. So the key is whatever that thing is that's holding you back, where you go, I'm scared of this, or I'm fear of failure. Okay, it's okay. Have it. Let it exist. I mean, I love roller coasters. If I wasn't scared of roller coasters, I don't think there'd be any fun of going on them. I love going on them because I do get scared. I'm nervous when I'm in the line, but that's what I love. So I go, I want to ride roller coasters, but I'm scared. No, I want to ride roller coasters and I'm scared, and that's what's going to make it fun for me. So exist with the fear and do it anyway, no matter what.
Great advice. Great advice. Mr. Ridgely.
Man, but I'm just digesting all that right now. But Tom, where can everybody find you on social media and check up on your projects?
Oh, thank you so much. Tom Malloy on Instagram, TOMMALLOY. I also have the website, tommalloy.com, which I should be updating more, and I'll probably do that more in the future. But Tommy Malloy on Twitter, but really Instagram is probably the most accurate as far as the thing that I update the most. So just Tom Malloy on Instagram, and keep an eye out for Ask Me to Dance. It's on streaming everywhere right now.
Awesome. Also check out, if you haven't, Alphabet Killer in the Attic. There you can definitely find those. I revisited Alphabet Killer a couple weeks ago. A great watch still. And again, so Tom, thank you so much for taking your time this Friday night on the network with us. We very much appreciate it. Hopefully we can cross paths at some point, work together. We have known each other for a long time of you, and I appreciate all the knowledge that you put out there and your transparency with the financing because again, there's not a lot of that. That's one thing that Tim Milliken and I, we found when we were out there. There was a lot of loose lips when asking specific questions about like how does this work, but then there also were people that would talk about tax rebates and different things, and so I always appreciate people who are straight up and like, this is how it is, and if I can be of assistance to getting you into Kentucky or Mississippi or one of these states to film or whatever, because again, like you said, we're all in the same fraternity as far as creatives and filmmakers. So
the people that are hoarding and they don't want to tell you something, they're usually the not successful people. And it's so funny. It's usually the successful one. They're doing well and doing a lot that have no problem telling you, go to this guy, go to that guy. You know what I mean? Like, so I found if somebody's going, well, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, it's like they don't know either. So,
Awesome. But again, thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate you. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, and have a great weekend. And we'll keep an eye out for Ask Me to Dance and everything else you have coming up. Everybody, Tom Malloy, read his books, check out his films. And again, this is a wealth of knowledge of how to do things the right way in the industry for people. So again, thank you, Tom. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Awesome. All right.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Have a great night.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, Tom is, like I said, a wealth of knowledge, and someone who, again, if you want to know about how to raise financing and you want to know anything, a lot of the ins and outs of the industry, that's a guy right there that is a professional to follow. And like I said, it's great to have had him on here. And so Mr. Ridgely, as far as the network, we didn't really speak as much prior to Tom coming on. Is any new news for the network coming up? I know the candles and everything that's a new thing that's popped up like since my hiatus and everything. You want to speak a little bit about that?
That is Hearts of the Mystic Folk. They're doing a whole line of scented wax melts, all natural scented wax melts for the Indiescape network. I mean, every show pretty much has their own scent, and it's just something fun for the holidays. So please check them out, heartsatthemysticfolk.com, and you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Other than that, I think we're kind of in the holiday season, so we're gonna kind of be scarce for the next few weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanksgiving's it's been such a blur this last month with everything.
Yeah, you've been busy out in freaking Hollywood and everything, and then Gabe's been out there as well, and CJ's been doing his thing with the View Askew universe the past couple of days.
Yeah, I've been watching JW and Rich holding it down with a Generation Movie. I really enjoyed the First Blood episode because it's one of my all-time favorite films. And
yes,
yeah, so yeah, those guys are great. Those guys are a wealth of knowledge as far as film. I mean, that show, anybody who loves film and loves cinema and I mean, obviously they'll move on at some point from 80s cinema, but just cinema in general, those guys are guys to watch, and they're entertaining too to watch. So.
Oh yeah, and Daniela and Ray were on last night after like 6 months. That was amazing.
Yes, I caught half that show. Definitely, and it's good to have them back. And like I said, hopefully we continue to grow as we go into the new year. This is, like you said, the time where we're kind of rearing down a little bit as the holidays come up. But
we're ramping up for 2023, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be. It's been an interesting year. This was the 31st episode of IOU, and yeah, there's been a lot of every guest has been something different, and something to me has been great. And again, it was I think back to the first few episodes, even back to Rob Schmidt, and how I was just so kind of nervous and focused on like kind of, am I looking the right way? Am I doing this or whatever?
And he was brought up tonight as well.
Yeah, he's the director of The Alphabet Killer, which again is a good parallel between Tom and him. And as we go into the new year, you're going to see there will be a lot more parallels between some of the talent that have been on the show and people that are going to come up on the show that I'm talking to. So yeah, that's always a good thing, because then you can kind of look back and say, hey, episode 4 was this, and there's also a trailer that was dropped today for the film that I'm a producer on called 9 Windows that stars William Forsythe, a great friend of mine, but also was directed by Lou Simone, who was on one of my early episodes as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to them about having another special episode along with the Not for Nothing one. So keep an ear out.
Let's not forget about Tim Milliken also with his show.
Yes, Tim. Yeah, he holds it down with the classic cinema stuff that, again, to me is it kind of takes it back to a time when I was growing up too, watching some of these movies
and these huge panels that he has on.
Yeah, these panels, and they're amazing to see these people that haven't seen each other for 30, 40 years kind of reconnect. I mean, that's the beauty that I love even seeing sometimes at the horror convention circuit, where people sometimes hadn't connected since the movie Wrapped. And sometimes, and when you hear those stories, even Amanda Burst, like it had been a while, like until I think they had a reunion for Fright Night. I mean, it's been years now, but when they had got together, a lot of them had not seen each other since the second film around then, which was, again, like late 80s, 90s ish. So again, when you see, sometimes I've seen some of these reunions in person, and it's emotional for them. And sometimes you're right there, and you're just like, wow, these people created history on screen, but they went different directions in their career, and then just never, and now they're circling back, and they get to sit there and reflect and see the legions of fans they have for those movies like Fright Night and Halloween.
And they feel the love, and it's amazing.
Absolutely. Even a friend to the show was announced yesterday. John Dugan is going to be at the New Jersey Horror Con in March coming up. So yeah, that'll be cool because I don't think he's been to that show before as a guest. So again, that's like I said, everything kind of comes full circle. Like as far as talent in this industry, and I'm sure Tom will. Again, it's interesting. I didn't bring it up on the show, but Tom was one of the first people that I saw in the industry. There's things called pitch decks and proposals. They're kind of like an investment package that you would give to a potential private equity financier for a film. And a filmmaking friend of mine, rest in peace, David Von Rome, he got a proposal from Trick Candle in regards to like a project that we were talking about then that was going to involve Willie Nelson, and he was one of the first names I saw on it, Tom Malloy, and this is going back, I want to say 2004, 3-ish, maybe a little bit later than that, but it was back maybe a little bit later than that, but it was back in that time frame. So again, I knew of Trick Candle from going way back in the 2005, 6, 7-ish time frame. And so again, that name, and then I would do research on him, and I read his books and different things that he put out years after that. So again, it's been years coming, and we actually just for the first time met a couple weeks ago at the American Film Market. So again, you see how things kind of come full circle.
Oh yeah, and when you asked him how the name came about for Trick Candle, that was that was cool.
Absolutely. Well, before we close the show, I'm going to try to get through this because it's something I want to do just because I want to pay tribute to someone that was special to me. Got a call last night and from a gentleman named Eric Springman that is a great friend of mine. Has always been a supporter of my career from the very beginning. His amazing wife, Catherine Phillips, unfortunately, lost her battle with cancer yesterday, and he gave me a call because he knew how much she meant to me. And so I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to Eric and their family, because Kat was, again, she called me one of her kids, and she was one of those people that for me, there she is. She was a brilliant filmmaker, a wonderful mother, a wonderful just human being, just somebody that, again, always had my back. She was a supporter of the show, even though she was sick. And there she is on set. And so I just want to give shout out to them and prayers and thoughts to them, because she fought for many years and she was in remission for a while. And but unfortunately, again, cancer is a son of a bitch, and we lost her yesterday. But I just wanted to again pay tribute to Kat. So I love you, Kat. So thank you.
Our condolences, absolutely, and an amazing show this evening, and we look forward to having you back on every week. And Brandon, again, absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please go to the Indie Escape Network and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. And I am going to sign out for Brandon. Guys, we appreciate everyone. We will see you next time. And why isn't my music working? Because